So welcome, everybody. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm Dave Blow. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal, and we work on making federal contracting manageable, profitable, and consistent, because that's the idea. We want to make sure we continue our growth, and that's what we do. My contact information there. You can check out ISI Federal at www.isifederal.com. You can see that we do everything from learning about the market intelligence, doing the marketing, helping with vehicles. That's Jamie's specialty. And we do representation here in DC, as well as bid management support for folks that are doing that. A couple of other things that are underneath of our umbrella is GovBrief, which you are participating in right this minute. But you can also use it to go out after federal buyers as well as primes, and that is setting you up as a subject matter expert. We do the research, we assemble the presentation with you, and we drive the buyers to you and drive your message home so that you can be remembered when they start buying, which, oh, by the way, they already have started buying because they have the money in their accounts already. The other place that you can go to if you're looking for federal buyers is govcontacts.us. We just completed our NVSB 2018 report. What do you think of that, Greg? You got one of those.
I do. I'm enjoying digging through. I'm getting ready to put together a presentation to go out as well.
Because it's we did a lot of great research there of folks that have been involved and are involved with the NVSBE show, as well as Sammy, because that was a joint conference down in New Orleans. And if New Orleans is not crazy enough already, try it on Halloween. I'm just saying, right? It was nuts, though, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So the other thing that's under our tent is GSA e-buy notification through QuickFuse. If you have a GSA schedule, QUIKFUSE.com, you can know about stuff faster and get responses to those folks and get special pricing too. And if you need information on that, go to QUIKFUSE.com, QuickFuse.com. And with us today, we have Jamie Zell, who is the president, El Presidente of GSAlogic.net. Welcome, Jamie. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Good morning, everyone. Hope your day's going well, and you got a good start going into the next cycle, the first part of the next federal fiscal year. And as that budget's been approved and they're back to spending, we're here to help you get going in the right places. And our specific mission is helping you with your GSA schedules. And it's do schedules when you need them, and schedule maintenance and schedule revisions as you need those well, at an affordable source for GSA schedules. As the slide shows there, 100% track record. We've been at it now a little over 15 years, and we always get the job done.
That's awesome, man. We're going to be talking a lot about that. We got several questions. We're going to go back to the basics, and that's part of that. Rafael Marrero stood us up today, just saying. But he is actually involved in a boot camp in Miami at the moment. So he's involved with being the instructor for that. So he's not going to be able to join us today, but we do have some examples that he has, and we're going to rely on some of those examples for getting back to the basics for procurement readiness. So we will be referencing him on a regular basis. And another place that we're going to be referencing him, we mentioned GovBrief before. There's 4 different briefings. At least 3 of them are showing up here. And we have 2 on the 29th, and getting your 8A. If you're interested in getting your 8A, that's one place. If you're a woman-owned business and you would like to get your WSB or ED, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certification, that will also be on the 29th. One is at 11 a.m. and the other one's at 2 p.m. And 12/6, we're doing a hub zone certification. Because why? Because Rafael helps folks get their certifications. It's a beautiful thing. And if you're interested in that, we would love to have you join us for those. And you can check those out on govbrief.us. They're $199 for the early bird, and you save $26 if you sign up early. So there you have it. And also with us, not on camera today, is Greg Clark. How you doing, Greg?
No complaints. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. So you guys do proposal writing, I know, and you help folks win even if they're finding it on FBO. How in the world do you do that?
Evaluating the opportunities, pulling back information that we've been gathering over 23 years that may apply to it, and responding as instructed.
There you go. I love it. And we're going to be talking about that as well. There's 4 different topics we're going to talk about today, and that's going to be a main one. So I appreciate your participation in that, and we'll make sure we include all the information for that. Peter Timmis, are you here, Peter? Peter Timmis is not with us today. He blew us off as well. So there you go. But you can always reach out to Peter Timmis if you need him. It's Action Capital, and they help folks fund their GSA, not GSA. They help them fund their company, and especially if you have a contract win that needs funding, and they'll even do the paperwork ahead of time so that you can show that you're financially stout enough to handle a contract. So there you go. He's with Action Capital. A little bit about this webinar. Over 900 registered, and every second Tuesday at 11 a.m. In fact, we shed people that haven't shown up because people keep signing up, which is a beautiful thing, right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
And what we do is we like to provide dialogue and get real about how things work, because there's a lot of folks that'll blow sunshine in this space, and they'll tell you that, hey, everybody can win in the federal space, and that's just fact not true. And it's very difficult to do that. So we provide you with winning strategies and winning tactics, and we'll show off ISI Federal and the other folks that are here because it's free. And just remember what you paid for. So with this agenda we'll talk about the brief and control so that we can have that dialogue back and forth. But we're going to get back to the basics. We're going to talk about what it means to be procurement ready, get your contract vehicles, which Jamie's going to handle. I'll talk a little bit about marketing, and Greg is going to talk about proposal writing and responses, and then we'll talk about what you can do moving forward and how we can help you if you need additional help. And just a quick disclaimer, this event is not affiliated with or endorsed by the GSA or any other agency, and is provided to you, the audience, for informational purposes only, and all participation in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement got by government personnel, and I haven't checked the whole record to see if anybody's here from the government yet. But if you would like to respond and you're from the government, this is not an indication for you to buy from anybody, me, or any other vendor that happens to be here. So we got rid of that. A little bit about the briefing controls. You can drag, there's a little bar that you can see Jamie and I, maybe on the top or maybe on one of the sides. So you can grab that and you can make it larger if you want to make us larger, or if you want to do death by PowerPoint, you can make us disappear altogether. And you can also open this panel on the right-hand side. There's a couple of very important things that I want you to know, and that is there are handouts there, and I'm going to try to drop another handout in there if I can. Not sure I can, but I'm going to try, because there's a procurement readiness handout from the VA that's really good. If not, I'll show you where to find it. The other thing is questions. You can type questions, and it looks like we already have a couple of people that have done that. Fantastic. We will make sure that we do that for you. And if you called in on the phone, you're going to enter your audio PIN. So whatever the PIN number is, pound that number and pound, and then we'll be able to unmute you to have that conversation. So if there's a little dude out there that you can raise your hand as well. So we'll make sure that we get you included in this, because we want to make this as absolutely productive for you as humanly possible. So the question we have is, why are you here? I'm here because I'm new to federal contracting, which would be great, right, Jamie? We love folks that are new.
Absolutely. Always new people, always new opportunities.
That's exactly right. Or you missed out on fiscal year 2018 and you want to win in 2019. If everybody doesn't check that, you might as well get off here, because that's what we're here for. You can check as many as you want, by the way. I need to find federal buyers for what I sell. I need help researching decision makers that buy what I need. I need help with proposal writing. A lot of folks need different kinds of help, and that's why we're here. We're here to help you get to where you want to go in the federal space, and we're going to keep this brief. So if you can vote, that would be great. We'll give you another 5 seconds, and then we'll be at it on the next piece. 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom. So here's what we look at. Here's what we're looking at, folks. All right, so 42% are new. Fantastic. We're glad that you're here. And if you missed out, that's great. And you need to find buyers, we can help them with that. Right, Greg Clark? We can help them find buyers. Somebody on this call knows how to find buyers. I don't know who that might be. And then I need help reaching decision makers that buy what I sell, and proposal writing. We got a few there too for you there, Greg. All right, and let's see if we have any real questions here. Jim Feeney had a plus and minus something or another. I have no idea what he's saying there. Jim, if you got something else in mind, let me know. I don't know what that code is that you just coded in there. So first, we're going to talk about procurement readiness. And normally I would have Raphael talk about this, but I've been around enough while he's doing his talking, because he does certifications as well as help people become procurement ready. So we're going to be talking about these things. One, what do the feds need just overall? Then second, what do the feds look for from you, and how the feds judge you, and some of the biggest mistakes that we see that vendors make, and how you can supercharge your image. Does that sound like a plan? So I'm going to bounce right through this. The first thing I want to go to is you need to have your SAM record correct and active. They've done some new implementations of the SAM record that you have got to make sure that it's complete as well as active. And they make you send in a notarized version now, right? Right, Jamie?
Yes, absolutely. Part of they had a security issue, and that they have upped their security to make sure that things are as tight as they should be, because there were a couple of problems there, and people were trying to crack that shell from the outside, so they've tightened things up.
Exactly. So they did tighten that up. So what you want to make sure you're doing is make sure you have your research for your NAICS codes and your PSCs, product service codes. Those are how the government will take a look if they're looking for something and they're looking for a small business. They're looking for their certifications. Everything is in that SAM record, and more information is being put into the SAM record, including your 8A, including all your certs. All of those things are soon to be held within that database, as well as the FEMA registration, which is new because they had that as a separate system. So make sure that you give the feds what they need, which is accuracy as well as being up to date and current and active on your SAM record. So check that today. If you haven't checked in a while, check it. See if you're active. You can look it up by your DUNS number and the rest of that. So check out your SAM record. That's what they need from you. They cannot buy from you if you're not registered in SAM. Maybe if you're only doing credit cards, you may be able to do that. I'm still pretty sure you need to be in SAM, even for credit card sales. So make sure you're registered in SAM. Then the second part is, let's talk about what the feds look for. So once you're going to meet with these federal folks, one of the things they're going to require is that you have a capability statement. That's already in your SAM record, but it's very reduced. It's down, I don't remember how many characters it is. It's not many. It's like 256 or something like that, where you have to have your condensed capability statement on SAM. Here is where you have a one-page slick, and Raphael likes first and second page. I'd go either way. No matter what, you're going to keep it very concise and help them understand what it is that you do in a very quick time. I like bullet points. I like 3 bullet points at the top. This happens to be one that Raphael did, and I like to break them up, 3 bullet points in the top, and then you can have your laundry list of everything else that you do, but make sure that you're concise on what you're going after. And so you have your contact information. You'll be amazed at how many folks forget to put their contact information on their capability statement. They say, here's what we do, but there's no way to be able to find you. So make sure that's there. The second part is your contract information. If you're doing anything, if you have a GSA schedule, if you have a blanket purchase agreement, we'll talk about those in a minute. But if you have any of those, make sure that contract information is on there so that they know that they can which path they want to be able to procure from you. Tell them about your business sides, your certifications, your socioeconomic status. If you're 8A, if you're hub zone, if you're woman owned, if you're veteran owned, this is the place where they're going to look for that to figure out what it is that you're all about and what you can do. Then you can talk about your past performance. I love this because I like to put in success stories, one success story, but if you talk about your past performance, list the agencies that you have worked with, even if it's a sub to a prime. Make sure that they know, and everything federal, by the way, federal is at the top of that. So past performance, federal counts a lot more than any other type of past performance that you have. That's just the way it is. So sell to that. Make sure they know that you know how to do the government, right? And make this customizable. You can always have a PDF that you can shoot out that's just your generic capability statement. But if you're doing something special, put that at the top of your list if you know that that's what they're buying. You want to sell them the way that they want to be sold, not the way you want to sell them. They buy, if you think about the 2 people that are involved, you have your program people on one side. They care about all your capabilities and everything that you can do to get the job done right. The other side of the house, they want to know how they purchase from you and why and how, on the procurement side, because those two people are not the same. They're never the same. I'm going to say that again. The two people that you're selling to are never the same. So these guys care about what you can do and how you can deliver. These guys care about how they can buy from you. And by default, these guys really don't care about how good you are at what you do. They just want to know how to buy from you. And these guys really don't care if you're small business, service disabled. They just want to get the job done. So that's why your pitch and your capability statement needs to sell to both of those folks at the same time. Does that make sense? Did we get through that? How'd that sound, Jamie? Reasonable?
Sound great. Makes a lot of sense too.
Cool. So the sample that you have is in your, there's a sample rag and cast, the one that you just saw is in the downloadable file in the handouts. There's one of those in there. You can download that sample and take a look at that if you like. Business cards. This looks flat out ugly, doesn't it? That is not an attractive business card unless you're a buyer. If you're a federal buyer, this business card looks great because it has all the information. It's like a mini capability statement, right? So the idea here is give them everything they need to know that you are a player in the federal space. It has the cage code, the DUNS number, the NAICS codes. It has a particular contract vehicle that's not GSA for NIH, right? So if you're selling to somebody and it happens to be NIH, that's a great thing for you to be able to put on your business cards. And that you're a certified small business, all that means is you're registered in SAM. It says, click, I'm a small business. Now, if it's certified 8A, that's a little bit different. But it's certified small business, sounds good too, right? Tells them what you do real quick, 4 bullet points right there, your contact information, as well as all the rest of the information for the DBA. Very important if you're doing a DBA that they can find you as the DBA as well as the parent corporation. Isn't that right, Greg? Is that right?
Absolutely.
You better be able to find them. They better be able to find you in SAM, because if they can't find you in SAM, what, out of the pool, they're not even going to consider you. So there's a way that you can use your business cards to your advantage. I personally, as ugly as this looks, by the way, it is ugly. As ugly as this looks from a marketing standpoint, I love the way this business card is laid out because it answers all the questions in one shot. You don't have to turn it over, because some people, when they have the card scanners or they have their cards sitting there, they don't look on the other side. So everything's on the front. Ugly, 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 but very effective in being able to deliver a message. So there's that. I'm not going through all those builds. I already did all these. Sorry. Now we'll get to your email signatures. Every email signature that you're sending, especially to the feds, should have all of this type of information at the bottom. That way they can check you. If they want to see something by your, I got this email, and you don't really, you don't know when they're going to read that email again. They may do a search and all of a sudden, boop, you pop up because you sent them information on something that they didn't need 6 months ago. And they're like, oh, some knucklehead sent me something. So I type it in and oh, boop, it is. And bam, you got your DUNS number, you got your cage code, and it has a link to your federal landing page, which we'll talk about right in just a minute. But make sure your certifications are there. If you're 8A, if you're small business, whatever you have as far as your certs, make sure they're there, and that your GSA schedule is listed, all that stuff. Make sense? So that goes on every email. And then that's going to go directly, when they click on that, don't send them to your regular page. Send them right to the government page. And you don't have to have it say government or anything like that. Just put your hyperlink in there behind it so that every time it goes there, it goes right to this page. If they want to check something else out for who you are or go to your home page, let them make the decision to go into something else. They really, really, really only care about that one tab. And that means everything that you're doing on that tab has to do with the government and not with profitability or not with growing your business and all the rest of the stuff that you do on a regular basis for commercial. Is all about how do you speak into the government world and the language that they're using. And on there, make sure you put your capability statement download, click, bam, they can get it in PDF format. It's the generic one, I get it, but at least have it there. and make sure that government tab has your socioeconomic, your DUNS, your CAGE, your NAICS, your PSCs. If you're not familiar with those terms, look them up, and there's classifications on how to choose both your NAICS and your PSCs based on what you do for a living in your business. So if you have your GSA schedule, great, put that on there. Put your GSA schedule. Any other contract vehicles, and you will want to have as many contract. And Greg, how important is it that you have more than just one contract vehicle?
Well, it depends on how much money you want to make.
I love that answer. Love it, love it. I knew you were here for a reason, man. So anyway, list all your vehicles, everything, and keep it up to date, by the way. If you have past performances and contract successes that you want to go on there, great. Put it on there. It's a good place to be. And then when you're doing this, if you have a GSA schedule, make sure that's easy to find and it's easy to use. You can put a link right there, takes you right to your GSA schedule on GSA Advantage. Can't you, Jamie?
Absolutely. We recommend it as well. Both the link to take you right to your environment on GSA, as well as get your GSA information on your business card, your literature, and let everybody know that you have your GSA schedule as the most common purchasing vehicle used by the government.
Excellent. And that's why we're going to ask. Now we got through that part, and I'm endeavoring, and Adam, who's my main man, who is doing everything to keep me in my timelines, I am working to make these 40 minutes, Adam. So what do you think about this? You're 100% procurement ready to rock and roll to the next step? You need a little help with that, with being 75%, 50%, or maybe you are at square one and you are just getting started. Let us know where you are, and we'll make sure we apply whatever you need to this next. I love the fact that we have folks all over the map. It's a beautiful thing. And we have a lot of honest people, because only 8% are saying that they're procurement ready, 100%. How you like that, Jamie?
I like that. That's good.
That's good. I tell you what, I love it when people are willing to tell us where they are. All right. And it's dropped to 7%. We have a whole bunch of honest people here. All right. So we're going to close this in 5, 4. You can do it. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Take a look at this. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad you're here. There's a lot of folks that are here that are new. It's beautiful that you're here, and we'll make sure that we get a follow-up with you and Raphael, because I know that he would be interested in talking with you to help with that. And with that, any questions before we jump into the next topic, which is going to be contract vehicles, which will be you, Jamie Zell, in just a minute. So let's see if we have any other questions here.
I got a question for you, Dave. This is Greg.
Okay, the answer's 4. Okay.
My question is, how many people are a lot closer to being procurement ready than they think they are? How many do you? Wouldn't you say a lot more people are closer to being procurement ready than they think?
Yeah, I think because it's just a matter of making sure that your information is there. If you're already in business and you're doing business, the chances are it's just a matter of categorizing that and putting that what you do every day into the federal world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. Was that the right answer?
It was.
That's right. So I can do my light and say that's a check. Okay. Anyhow, there you go. So I don't have, there's no questions. You mean to tell me that was such a complete presentation that you have 0 questions about procurement readiness, even though a lot of people, only 7% that they were 100%. That's cool. We can get on to the next thing. Here we go. Well, contract vehicles. So you may hear this term. If you're new to the federal government, you may be saying, what in the world are you talking about? Because it is in the regular world, you don't have to have a contract vehicle to do business with anybody. You can just buy from somebody, right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
So in this instance, and we're going to talk, I'm going to get a high-level overview of the different types, and you're going to tell us how this feeds into GSA, because these are very important as far as GSA is concerned. But you have in IDIQs, these are terms that you're going to hear. If you're doing federal business, you're going to hear IDIQs, BPAs, GWACs, JOCs, MATOCs. They're just a few of the ones that are out there, but they're the main ones. Did I miss any major ones here, Greg? Because I know you do this a lot.
No, I think that's those are the main ones.
And we did talk a lot about JOCs and MATOCs when we were down at that other conference, because those are the ones that are usually for construction, right?
Right.
So, and there are a couple of specialty ones that are outside of this. We can talk about that another time. But let's talk about what happens here. And here's Jamie's information. And again, the reason why Jamie is here is because he has 100% track record over the past 15 years in getting GSA schedules for folks, and he can tell us what's happening with those contracts. And I had 5 questions for you, Jamie, but I have no idea where they are.
On my I checked right before things got kicked off.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly enough, I've heard it called as of recent too as a GSA contract, and it truly is an IDIQ, just another acronym or another label to throw on things. And for those of you new to the federal government, they are acronym crazy. Here, a couple things about GSA. General Services Administration is what it stands for. And a GSA schedule is also known as a GSA contract. That means the same thing. Also, a multiple award contract or MA. Federal Supply Schedule, RFSS, all handles for the same thing, which is a GSA contract. And you'll hear different buyers ask for that. Do you have your GSA contract? Do you have your GSA schedule? Do you have your multiple award schedule or MAS or FSS, Federal Supply Schedule? All means the same thing. So the answer would be yes when you're ready for them, when you have your GSA schedule.
So how do they work? And so what I mean by that is the government actually has to have one of these in place with you in order to do business with you, because it's like a menu of services, right? It's like, here's what we do, or here are the products that we have.
Exactly. You've been through an application and approval and checking process with the federal government in order to get your GSA contract, GSA schedule. And once you've been awarded your GSA contract, it actually is very economical from a lasting perspective. It lasts initially for 5 years, and it's renewable in 3 5-year increments. So it lasts a total time life cycle of up to and including 20 years. And when agencies buy off GSA, that allows them to streamline the purchasing acquisition process, because first of all, you can't sell to any buyers that buy off GSA unless you have your GSA contract. And secondarily, it makes it easier for the buyer, because when you come to the table with your GSA contract, your past performance, quality of service, quality of products, even your pricing, your stability as a company, all these things have been checked out, certified, and approved, which allows you to go right to the purchasing cycle, and it makes it easier for the federal buyers to be able to buy off you because you have your GSA contract. And actually, other agencies, and we've even heard over the years, colleges and universities, certainly at the state level, but even corporations, regular corporations will ask people oftentimes if they have their GSA schedule, and not because they buy off GSA schedule, but they know that if you have one, that you're safe to do business with, because you've been vetted with the federal government over a variety of clarification processes that prove you do a good job and that you have quality products and services.
And to that point, what, you know, that all that, hey, here's the checklist. These guys are solid. These guys know how to do their job. These guys have the ability to manage federal contracts. What does it take? The fundamental, where's the bar as far as when you can go and apply for a GSA schedule? How long do you have to be around and all that stuff?
The basics there are you've been in business for at least 2 years from your date of incorporation, that you have your own website and email address, real email addresses that apply to your actual company and your website link itself, that you you have to get through SAM, and we help you with that process if you need that, but you have to be registered with SAM, that you have a certified accounting system, and that you also have real relative past performance in the way of sales if you're selling your products, or so that you're selling your services, and you have invoices to prove that. And typically for that, they're talking about 100 to 125,000 per year as a general range, which is not always a hard fast value, but that's a good common thread to be able to come to the table. That the idea is you can't say, here's what we could do or what we can do for you, federal government. Here's what we are doing. Here's the invoices that prove it. This is what we can do for you. And that's how you come to the table in order to qualify for being able to get your GSA schedule.
And I think that's an important point. It's not what you could do, it's what you have done. You can always build on that in the future when you're doing business with the government, right?
Yes. So, and you'll get approved for components in your GSA schedule that specifically apply to the things that you do, because a given GSA schedule broad stroke reference, like 23V is automotive superstore. Schedule 36 is about print services. Schedule 70, super common, about computer technology services, physical sales of hardware. There's different, what they call special item numbers or SIN codes within a GSA schedule. Get another acronym to throw your way. SINs is what you have to pick out when you're getting your GSA schedule. And you'll start with what you already do. And over time, you can build additional past performance and you can add additional SIN codes, official capabilities to your GSA schedule as you grow that schedule over time. So that's just a common thing you'll have to do. When you work with us, you got to go pick out your SINs and tell us which ones you have.
Yeah.
And
the place where SINs are good, though.
Yeah, SINs are good. Those are special item numbers, and those are additional capabilities within the GSA schedule itself. So something you definitely want to do that.
Awesome. So we're gonna talk about some of the biggest mistakes in just a second, but I do want to know if you do have a schedule. Do you have a GSA schedule or not? I have a schedule, or maybe you submitted for a schedule, or you want a schedule, or maybe you had a schedule and lost it. We'll talk about that. Or I would like to talk to Jamie about whether or not you should get one, or if you can get one. Jamie, great overview of the GSA as a process as well. Some of the biggest mistakes that you have there. Tell us some of the mistakes that you see people making, either when you've had to fix something that they've tried to do, or that you've seen happen after the fact.
Wrongly placed information is one of the worst things about it for people trying to go this route on their own, and or misclassified. We've actually seen people awarded the wrong GSA schedule, and not because something was so closely classified. They were just taken down the wrong path or went down the wrong path. So it's important to be getting settled in on the proper schedule, the proper SIN codes as far as that goes, and that your information is correct as it goes in. There's three basic components to a GSA schedule. There is an administrative section, there is a technical section, what you do and how you do it, even if that's selling products, and then there's a pricing section, and those are all real important. Pricing is very important as well. You have to be competitive with the other suppliers out there, and you also need to be able to bring to the table and demonstrate that GSA is getting your most favored price, or MFP. And that's part of the GSA schedule process, because they buy a lot of things in high volume and they expect to have good pricing.
You're absolutely right. And
another problem that people have, just a quick reference, another problem that people have, and probably the single biggest problem, it'd be like being on a football field and they throw you the football and you stand there until the defense comes and crushes you because you didn't run with it. They get their schedule and they've either been misinformed by somebody or just think that the phone's just going to start ringing and that the clouds will open and that money's going to fall out of the sky. They don't go after and get the business. You have to go out there and figure out who are the people you should be building your relationships with, and go out there and start forging those relationships. People will get their schedule, and if you don't actively work with that schedule and make it work, you'll eventually get anger mail from the federal government, and they will eventually cancel your schedule. You can't just leave it set dormant, because if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So
and $25,000 is the mark, and if you don't do that, they say that's a categorical failure, and they're right. Well, thank you for the segue into my side of the house. We'll do that. Before we do that, if you do have a GSA schedule, make sure you check out quickfuse.com, and you will get yourself a 30-day test drive and a 500% guarantee. Whatever you spend on QuickFuse, guaranteed that you're going to get 5 times what you paid for QuickFuse back. So that's one way to be able to know that you're moving in the right direction. Any questions for Jamie about what's happening in your world, in the federal world, in getting a GSA schedule? And then we'll move on to what you just set me up for, Jamie. Thank you very much. And that is the federal marketing side, because money doesn't fall from the sky. So if you're listening to anybody that's telling you get this and you'll win big, you better go someplace else, because what we want you to know is we absolutely want you to succeed. It's 18 to 24 months to win in the federal government if you're putting forth the effort. And the GSA knows this, because they give you 24 months, Jamie, right?
Absolutely.
To make how much?
$25,000. Your first $25,000.
If you're in this for 25 grand, go someplace else, because this is where you can make millions of dollars on a GSA schedule, but you have to make it work for you. So how the federal market works is, I mentioned before, there's 2 different folks. There's buyers, and then there's program people. Those people are on two different sides of the fence. GSA schedule is a way for them to be able to purchase your products directly and buy off of that schedule, either through GSA Advantage or some other way. Now, the fact of the matter is, we talked about the capabilities, right? The feds are looking for people that can supply the services or the products to them. What you're asking the federal government to do is what? What are we asking the federal government to do? We're asking them to change from buying from these people and buy from us. Why should they do that? Why should they? There's 16,000 GSA schedules out there, Jamie. Why should they pick your one? And the answer has got to be that you are getting out in front of those folks and communicating directly with both sides of those folks, saying, hey, we're here. We can really do a great job. Hey, we're here. We got a GSA schedule, or we have this contract vehicle. Hey, we're here. We have this certification. Look at us, look at us, look at us, look at us, look at us. Pay attention. And here's why it's important you pay attention, because we are XYZ better. That is what you need to take to the market and have them become aware that you should be able to compete in that pool. And 80% or better in your market, I don't know what market you guys do, I'm just telling you, 80% or better are competed between 5 or less companies on a regular basis. That means it's not going on FBO. That means it's not going out to everyone out there for everybody to see on the bid boards. That means it may be going to a select few on GSA eBuy if it's a GSA schedule holder. It could be competed between two companies, two service disabled companies, two woman-owned companies, two veteran-owned companies, two hub zones. That is the pool that they have to meet the requirements for the FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations. Am I right? Is that the right one?
That's right.
So the FAR is there, and it says you have to do these certain things. And then you can even get sole sourced for a single. If you're 8A, that you have a 9-year program. Raphael will be able to explain that to you if you want any more information on that. But they're looking for the way to get it there fast, and they're looking for the way to get the job done right. Now, I will tell you that the biggest issues that folks have in the federal government is buying from somebody and them not being able to deliver, or not understanding the internal process that the government has in order to be able to service that contract well. So not only do you want to get out in front of those people and prove them that you're capable of doing it, you need to deliver on the back end. The biggest mistakes that I see that folks do, that folks have, is number one, you said it, Jamie. They say, hey, I got this GSA schedule. It took me a year to get it. I'm good to go. And then nothing comes down, right? Because they're just sitting there waiting for that money to come. You got to get out there. You got to shake the trees. You got to meet people. You got to build those relationships so that when they start buying, or they're buying what you need, you're already included on that short list. That is the key biggest mistakes that I've seen. And then secondary, any other mistakes you want to throw in there, Greg, while you're there?
No, I like what you're saying so far.
Cool. Awesome. And I do have a couple of questions. We'll get to these. Very good question. I'll get both to you, Dan and Jim, just one minute. So that's what I got for that. So then before we get to the questions, I'm going to ask this, which is, wait a minute. What do you need help with on the marketing side? Very difficult to build relationships with people if you don't know who to build a relationship with. It's very difficult to communicate with people if you don't know how they want to hear from you. So that's developing your message. You can choose as many as you want. Help with scheduling meetings. You got to be able to meet with these folks, either face-to-face or on the phone. You've got to have those quality conversations. Or maybe you just need to be here in DC and you are nowhere close to DC. So maybe you just need help with everything. So there you go. So we'll give you another 5 seconds because we want to keep this moving. There's no way I'm going to make it in 40 minutes already, Adam. I'm going to get better, though. All right. There you go. So here's what everybody's saying. Very good. I love the fact that that folks need help with everything. That's a beautiful thing, because that's why we're here. Right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. So we have a couple of questions and regarding this, and I think this is, how much business was awarded in 2010 off contract versus on contract? That's a great question. And I know about what the answer is. Jamie, do you have 2017 numbers? If I remember correctly, it was $32 million, $33 million that was awarded in 2017 on GSA contract.
You said million, you meant billion.
Billion.
Yeah.
You're in billions. Billion.
Right.
Yeah. So the answer is, somewhere in 33 billion dollars. As opposed to, anybody want to take a guess of the overall? It's about 525 billion overall that was awarded.
Ask you real quick, Dave, to throw out there to the audience, just so people realize the prize that's out there. I mean, because we talked about it not being easy, and it takes time to build up this cycle, but it's a prize worth having.
Oh.
And let me go at it from the perspective I've used it. You used it before. Is what's the average successful GSA schedule holder make?
At 3.3, right? 3.3 mil.
Exactly, 3.3, the average successful. So it's a prize worth having. I mean,
Absolutely.
the journey may be uphill, and there's some slippery spots on it, and you got to dot your I's and cross your T's and work in a little different environment if you're used to corporate USA, but it's a prize worth having.
It is absolutely a prize worth having, and there's a reason why there's $525 billion. Not only that, it's almost, I'm not going to exaggerate, it's 1.19 trillion. Just saying. That's what's in store for 2019. And we haven't even talked about infrastructure yet, where both Democrats and Republicans can agree on that. If you find that, that's a miracle in and of itself. So if we have a newly formed corporation, it takes 18 to 24 months to get business. Should we start the process to get a GSA approval now? The answer is you can't get a GSA approval until you hit that 24 mark. So you can start it, what do you figure, about 4 months before gathering all your information?
4 months out is certainly a good marker. The only exception to that, there is a program now for GSA Schedule 70 holders because of the need for additional technology solutions. If you are less than 2 years old, you can still go after getting a schedule. If you want any assistance or any even just a heads up and talk about that, certainly feel free to give me a call. It is a special program, but it's 70 only. Otherwise, you've been in business on or about 2 years. But if you're, let's say, a year and 6, it's time for us to be talking and start getting the pieces put in place to get your schedule underway. Because first of all, you have to build it, then it's got to get through their system. And some of the professional services schedules are still sitting out there for quite a while. So it doesn't help to get it built and into the chute as far as that goes. So timing wise, that it's getting awarded when you're ready to be awarded anyway.
And to answer your question, when I first started ISI Federal on the marketing side, I wouldn't wait another day. I would absolutely start right away, because if you're not getting out in front of those folks, it's not going to matter whether you have a schedule or not. If they like you, they'll figure out a way to buy from you, and you can funnel it through somebody else's schedule. You can funnel it through a particular contract mechanism. Can be done. Absolutely, Jim, can be done. And if that's what you're after is getting to those, you still got to build the relationships, which, as you mentioned, takes 18 to 24 months. And I don't care who you are. You can be a really big company and it still takes that long. So the idea is, and very competent in what you do. So welcome to that. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well if we need to. How do I get the rest of this webinar? I have to get to a meeting. No meetings, Julia. You cannot leave this webinar for a customer meeting. That's ridiculous. We'll have it recorded for you though. I've read one document that 90% of government spending is off contract. Well, that would be about right now, wouldn't it? Because about 525 billion to 30 billion, right? 33 billion. And that is a fact. And that's one of the reasons why it's really important to pursue all the different, and that doesn't mean it means it's off a GSA contract, not off of any other contract that happens on IDIQs and BPAs and GWACs and things like that. And now we're going to get to proposal writing, because I think we answered all those questions. If we didn't, then Julia, we will, as I mentioned, we'll have this recorded and we'll send out a copy to you. So Greg, you are down. Where are you out of?
West Palm Beach, Florida.
West Palm. It sucks being you right now. I know. For the next 4 months, it absolutely sucks being you. We'll be talking about the weather from here on out. But so as far as tell us what you do overall, and then we'll get into some of the details for the folks.
Well, we peruse and pore over the opportunities that are issued on a daily basis, looking for projects that match our clients' experience and capabilities. And when it's a fit, we assist them in preparing their response and going through the evaluation process to win the contracts.
Excellent. And that's a beautiful thing. So how do you find good opportunities? What sticks out? How do the clients find good opportunities? What is your measuring stick to figure out what works?
To identify a good opportunity?
Yeah.
It has to be a match for your experience and capabilities. I mean, there's three components to every solicitation. There's the performance requirements, there are the proposal requirements, and their evaluation criteria. So if you can do what they're looking for, then that's one thing. If you can provide what they're asking for in the solicitation, you meet the minimum mandatory past performance requirements. Whatever minimum mandatory requirements they are, then that's another check. And then if based upon how this award is going to be made, if you stand a fair chance, then that's all three, and you can decide this may be something we want to pursue.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've always talked about is getting to know bid quickly. Why would you want to do that? Getting to know.
That's the most important thing. If you're not going to win a contract, let's find that out as soon as possible, so we're not spending time reading things that are of no interest to you.
Because responding to an RFP is no short process, right?
Absolutely. And if there's something that's going to keep you from being successful in pursuing it, find it out right away and chuck it and move on to something else.
And you mentioned this, there's three different places, right? Three different things, right? Your capabilities, your ability to deliver on that being in the past performance. One of the things that we hear over and over again is, give me what I'm asking for, not your square peg in a round hole. They want you to fit specifically within their box, don't they?
I've been hearing for 23 years, do you have templates? Well, you can't really have templates because every solicitation is different. And if you have this boilerplate thing, though, this is what we give every time when we submit a proposal. Well, you're submitting stuff that's not an evaluation factor that can be submitted, and the evaluators are wondering, why are they submitting this when we didn't ask for it? So you're not making yourself look good. You're doing the opposite.
And to your point, number 4 is right to the reader. And if you think about, there's how many different people are reading? Is it one person that's reading this, or is it separated into multiple groups?
Typically, it's a team, evaluation team.
Ooh, so what does that mean?
Well, you're going to have people in contracting who put out solicitations buying anything and everything.
That's
but
right.
You also have subject matter experts that are going to be the ones that are going to be actually involved in the performance of the contract after it's awarded.
And you may even have people that are, we've got bid on this, by the way. You may have people that are reviewing past performance, separate from the people that are reading the quals, separate from the people that are saying, do they meet all the check boxes in the requirement? And if you don't tie all those pieces together, you can wind up on the outside looking in real quick.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
So writing to the reader is not just, to your point, give me what I'm asking for, and then understand who's asking the question, right? You got to understand which person is asking the question and all the supporting information that you have. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see folks making when they're doing this?
Spending resources on contracts they can't win.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the number one thing. You want the job so bad, you're going to overlook the things that are going to prevent you from being awarded it.
Yep. And you're like, we can do it, and you don't have a snowball's chance to do it. And that's one of the things.
Your experience and capabilities are not subjective. You know, you can do what you can do, and you've done what you've done. And if that's not measuring up to that solicitation, then chuck it, move on to something else.
And from the marketing side, the job of the people that are doing the business development have got to be able to be truthful and look at it from the standpoint of that exact risk factor to say, well, who's the incumbent? And do we have a chance? Because you may even be the best one for the job. But if the incumbent has been there and the scope of work looks and smells like the incumbent that's been there, you got a tough road to hoe, don't you?
That's an excellent point. And reading between the lines. Now, you can't read between the lines of the performance work statement, because when you're awarded the contract, that's how you're going to be asked to do it. And if they say, well, we need to do this, and you can say it's not in my contract. So you don't read between the lines on the performance work statement. You read between the lines on the submittal requirements and the evaluation criteria. If they want a very, very specific past performance that maybe only the incumbent has, that might tell you something. If they're really open to just show us what you've done, it doesn't matter what it is, just show us what you've done, and let's see that you've made your customer happy, like Decca does, for example. Then they're really open to bringing somebody new in. So, and then you have to do your homework and see, what can I find out about the history of the contract, the current performance of the contract, and pull that into your bid no bid decision.
Agreed entirely. Great stuff. So I appreciate that as well. So then we're going to ask the question. I need help sifting through the opportunities. I need help with understanding how to write successful responses. I need help with an upcoming solicitation, if you know it's on the horizon, or maybe there's something right this minute. That's where you want to collect that one. If you say, bam, I got this one, I need a review right away, call me ASAP, and I will make sure that you get that information, Greg Clark, so that you can respond. Cool?
Sounds good to me.
So with that, we're going to give everybody another 5, 4. You can do it. 3, 2, 1, and close that out. All right. So we're gonna get a couple more questions here. So Dan, you asked a question about the VA stuff. How are the off-contract awards being accomplished? How are those 90% being accomplished? And I will tell you, it is because they're being shortlisted with people that are qualified. That's the answer. So the question really is, how can you become part of that shortlist? You may not be winning every time, but if we know that between 80 and 90%, irrespective of the industry, are being awarded to 5 or less competitors, competed between 5 or less competitors, that's when we know we need to get to those people to inject ourselves into that conversation. And that conversation happens individually with each buyer. It's not super mass marketing. There's no silver bullet. You got to get in front of those folks. Anybody want to contest that for me? just saying, I'm up for the fight if you're ready. If you want to take it, that's the answer. You need to get out in front of those folks and become the key person associated with it. So if that's the last question, oh yes, we will make the presentation available for everybody. We'll have a copy of the presentation as well as the video if you want to watch this repeatedly, just like we do with the World's Greatest Showman or The Greatest Showman. Great movie, by the way. Yeah, this is just as entertaining as that. If that's the case, you guys need to get out more. Anyway, numbers that matter most. Jamie Zell, what are these numbers? 321 and 686?
That would be the countdown to this next year's fiscal year end, and the one after that as we look at long-range planning.
And you're thinking, why in the world are we talking about these numbers now? And this is the reason. Because you're going to see these little dips. This happens every year. Look at it. Boop, 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 boop. Looks like the heartbeat, right? Every one of these are the spikes that happen in September. This is the time that we need to do this. And we're talking about this right now because if you're not getting out in front of these people, this 1.19 trillion is going to be going to somebody else beside you or me. We need to be out in front of these folks, and this is exactly why we're talking about that. And this is mega bucks. Mega bucks, $978 billion over the next 321 days. That's $3.2 billion per day, $133 million per hour, and $2.2 million per minute. As you mentioned earlier, Jamie, this is a very good place to be. But I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it again. If you don't start getting in front of these key decision makers, Dan, you hit it. You hit it. You got to get out in front of these folks, or it's going to go to the people that they've been using over and over and over again. because it's safe. They know who they are. And sometimes it's even better the devil you know than somebody new because they're risk averse. That's just the market that you are getting into here. So if you have the stomach for it, let's go get some of this stuff. The federal government is huge. There's 2.4 million people that are out there. There's 225,000 P card holders and 85,000 procurement professionals with warrant capability. Somehow you're going to have to sift through that and shake that tree and find somebody that's willing to buy from you. And that's why we do things like GovBrief. And we have upcoming briefings like dealing with PRISM system integration. This is us going out to the federal folks. We're talking about NDAA and BAA. The NDAA is that's the Defense Act. But this happens to be talking about BAA compliance as it associates with that act. So also talking about saving your GSA schedule from cancellation. We had some folks that were in trouble. We're going to talk about that. Getting 8A certified, talk about that. We're also talking about agile methodology. Again, marketing out to the federal folks, talking about how you can leverage C-Prime's capabilities in your agile methodology and doing that right.
That's a great company. C-Prime is a great company. Great
company, right? Yep. And Texas A&M, not a bad company either. They actually are a company. They have a whole another division. They'll talk about disaster planning and recovery. Again, going to the federal buyers with this information. And they do come and they do participate. And, oh, by the way, we do the follow-ups so that we get the meetings, so that you get the opportunities, so that you get the wins. That's what we use GovBrief for. We use GovBrief to help market to these folks, differentiate yourself in the marketplace, get yourself set up as a subject matter expert, and that's what we do. If you want more information on ISI Federal, you can get it at isifederal.com. You can check us out on YouTube. If you type in ISI Federal, you cannot miss us. That's the first thing. And you can also connect with us on LinkedIn. Just type in ISI Federal, and I promise you I will pop up. The next one that we have is getting ahead of RFPs. It's December 11th at 11 a.m. And with that, I want to thank you, Jamie Zell, for your expertise and what you do for folks on the GSA schedule side.
My pleasure.
And I appreciate you being here. And not thanking Rafael Marrero for being here, but I do thank him for what he does, because he does great stuff for helping getting certifications and procurement ready. Greg, I'm thanking you because you are here. And you can get in touch with Greg right here down in Southern Florida, and you can tell him how much you hate the fact that he lives down there when you talk to him. But thanks for being here, Greg.
My pleasure.
And also you can reach out to Peter Timmis if you need any. I don't know why his contact information. That's a terrible capability statement right there. No contact information included on that. So with that, we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and definitely eat too much. That's the first thing. Even if you're scaling back and you're like me and I'm doing my best to not eat anything super high carbolicious. But definitely eat too much. Definitely enjoy the time with your family. Even if there's family drama, enjoy it anyway. Do your best. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you in a month. Thanks, guys.